Welcome back, everyone. I'm going to share with you today my shrimp cake recipe. So let's just get right into it and go over the ingredients. Now, I will say that I do not do exact measurements on this recipe. It is pretty much a feel that I have on how much ingredients to put in it. So you can watch the video to get a gauge for that. But as you make it, you'll make it your own and decide on how much you want to put in. One thing you will definitely need, though, to make about 4 to 5 shrimp cakes is 1 pound of raw shrimp. Right here I have the jumbo variety, but you can use whatever size that you like. I like to get the peel, the vein, and tail off because that means I have no work to do. I can just start chopping them up. So depending on how much work you want to do, you can get what you like, but this is what I like to get. So in addition, you're going to need an egg, mayonnaise, red bell pepper, lemon, green onions, and I like to put corn in mine. So this might be a little unconventional to some people, but I suggest trying it and it's really good. Now, as far as the seasonings, you're going to need some Sazon, black pepper, salt, granulated onion, granulated garlic, and you're going to need some breadcrumbs, which is going to be your binder. So let's just jump into it and get this started. Okay, so now I have cut up the red pepper in chunks and put it in the food processor. And the reason why I did that is because we're going to be processing half of the shrimp. To get a good texture, you want to chop up half and you want to process the other half. So since we're going to be using the food processor anyway, might as well just go ahead and do the peppers in here. So I'm going to pulse this just to get it into a pretty fine dice. That looks pretty good to me. So I'm going to transfer this to a bowl. Okay, so in here I have the minced red pepper, I did the green onions, and I've also squeezed in the lemon. I like to do all my vegetables first because once I get my hands into the shrimp, I don't like to go back and forth. So all the vegetables are in here. So now what we're going to do is we're going to move on to the shrimp. Okay, so here's your shrimp, and like I said, I just eyeball it. I do about half. I'm going to put half in the food processor and we're going to mince this. The other half I'm going to chop up to give it some texture. So that looks pretty good to me. So let's go over and mince this up. Okay, so we're just going to pulse it. Looks good. And so this is the texture you're looking for. It's just a minced consistency, and we're going to transfer this to the bowl and get to chopping the rest of it. Okay, so I don't do anything fancy when I cut them up. I just cut them into small pieces, and these are jumbo shrimp, so pretty nice size. So I'll get several cuts out of one shrimp. Like I said, I don't want them too big, but not too small either, because you want to distinguish between the minced and the chopped. So piece this size is good. So I'm just going to chop them all up and add them to the bowl. So I want to show you the difference in consistency with the shrimp. This is the shrimp that we minced in the food processor, and this is the shrimp that I cut up. So the mince will also serve as a binder to keep your shrimp cakes together, and the chopped shrimp will give you texture. So that's why I like to do both instead of all minced in the food processor. You definitely don't want to do all chopped because it will not hold together. So now we're going to move on to adding our seasonings. So I put about a half a can of corn in here. That's all I had on hand, but probably, you know, most of the time I would use frozen corn, because whatever you don't use, you can put right back in the freezer. But you won't need a whole can of corn. Half a can will do you. So now I'm going to add in, start with the mayonnaise. I do about, like I said, I eyeball this because I've been doing it for so long. But I do about a couple of probably tablespoons of mayonnaise. That's just to give it a little bit of moisture. Now, just to recap, we have the corn, the two textures of shrimp, we have the red bell pepper, we have chopped green onion, and I also added the lemon juice. So now I'm going to add a packet of Sazon. Now, Sazon does have salt in it, so I'm not going to add that much salt. I'm just going to add just a little bit. Okay. Pepper. Granulated onion. Granulated garlic. You want to add your egg. Okay, and so you're going to want to add a good amount of breadcrumbs. I eyeball this as well. It's just you want to make sure that when you're mixing it up and you form your cakes that they hold together. So I don't have that much plain breadcrumbs left. That might be enough. If it's not, then I will supplement the rest with panko breadcrumbs. I never use all panko because I just don't think it gives it the best texture, but the two of them mixed together would be fine. So now you're just going to mix this all together. Okay. I think I'm going to be okay on the binder, actually, on the breadcrumbs, because they look like they'll hold together okay for me. Okay, so now I'm going to form them into patties. I probably can get 4 or 5 out of them. It just depends. And then we will move on. Okay, so I was able to get 5 patties out of this. Now what I like to do is I like to put them in the fridge for about a half an hour. It helps with them setting up and not falling apart when you fry them. So I recommend doing that. If you can do it a little bit longer, maybe an hour, that's even better, but a half an hour should work well. So we're going to put this in the fridge, and then I'm going to show you how to fry them. Okay, so let's get ready to fry the shrimp cakes. I like to fry my shrimp cakes in a little bit of corn or vegetable oil. Today I'm using corn. I don't like them to be like deep fried. You just want to cover the bottom of the skillet just so that it can fry. I don't like them to be submerged in oil. Now, one tip that I have is I like to add a little bit of butter to the oil. That gives you some nice flavor. So once that heats up and melts, you want to make sure that the oil is hot before you add your shrimp cakes. So let's let that melt and get up to temperature. Okay, so that's melting nicely. Now you want your heat like on medium high. You don't want it too high because you want your shrimp cakes to cook through and you don't want them to burn. So about a medium high heat flame is going to be good. So we're just going to let that get up to temperature, and we're going to add the shrimp cakes. Okay, so you're going to get the shrimp cakes in the pan on like medium high heat and cook them for about, I'd say about 5 minutes. I like to cook mine about 5 minutes on the first side, and then you'll flip them and another 5 minutes and they should be ready. So we'll let these cook and then we'll flip them in 5 minutes. So I have flipped them over, and I'm going to cook them for about another 3 to 5 minutes. You just want to check the doneness, and then they'll be ready to serve. They look delicious. Okay, so the shrimp cakes are done and ready to serve. I hope you guys make this recipe because they are very delicious and easy to make. Now, I do make my own homemade remoulade sauce, which is really good to go along with it. I didn't make a video on it because I pretty much don't measure it. I don't measure anything, but I will tell you what's in it. I use Greek yogurt to keep it on the lighter side instead of mayonnaise, green onions, some country Dijon mustard, ketchup, onion powder, garlic powder, paprika, and some hot sauce, and a little bit of lemon juice. And that's it. Let me know in the comments if you want to see a video on it. I wouldn't mind doing it, but it's really easy to make, and I always make it with the shrimp cakes. So enjoy and happy cooking.